Hello everyone and welcome to another very nice Nimzo game from the Geza Hetenyi Memorial Tournament. It is Prohaszka versus Praggnanandhaa, and it's a game from round 6. Prag was doing excellently in the tournament. He had 4 victories in a row, and then he lost in round 5 to Amin Tabatabai. Now we're checking up on what's happening in game 6. Like I said, a really awesome, active Nimzo-Indian game, and as it's a very popular opening, I'm sure a lot of you guys are enjoying it. Let's check it out. So Petr has the white pieces, and he opens with pawn to d4. Sorry about that. We have knight to f6 and the pretty standard stuff. c6, c4, e6, knight to c3, and now bishop to b4. Going for the Nimzo-Indian defense, we have pawn to e3, the standard line, or the normal line, or the traditional line. I never really know what's the... queen to c2 is the classical, and the e3 sort of the traditional line. That's what they call them. But okay, here we have castles, and now 3 moves are very popular here. Bishop to d3, knight to f3, and knight g to e2. But here we have bishop to d2. This is the 4th most popular move, and this is what Petr prepared for Praggnanandhaa, as well. He is definitely expecting that Prag is very well versed in all of the lines. Maybe this one he knows a little bit less. And it has been played by some extremely strong players. Fabiano Caruana played it, Dink played it, Wesley So played it, Alireza Firuza played it, so it's definitely a playable move in every time format. We have pawn to d5 by Prag, knight f3, b6, and now c captures on d5. We have e captures and bishop to d3. The bishop often placed on d3 against the Nimzo. We have bishop back to d6, and now castles. We have rook to e8, knight to b5, now putting pressure on the bishop, and for the moment bishop back to f8. It again looks maybe a bit weird on f8, but it's gonna be a great defender, and once you kick away the knight, then you can easily bring it back into the game. So knight to e5, and now bishop to a6, putting pressure on the knight here, and now bishop to e1. So the bishop on d3, the bishop on d3 is defended if you move your knight. And there is a game where c5 was played. Vupala Pranit played it against Harsha Bharatakoti this year, some three months ago. But here we have pawn to c6 by Prag, and it is now as of move 12 that we have a completely new game. So okay, knight back to c3, bishop captures on d3, Prag trades off the light square bishops, and here queen to c8. And this is okay, you are adding another defender to c6, you are adding another defender to the a6 square, so now you can develop the knight here. And this is often, I don't know if you guys have tried playing the Nimzo, the c-pawn and the a6 square will usually be what is the most problematic when trying to create some sort of a solid setup. So okay, rook to c1. Now again, you have to be careful. You don't want to run into knight captures on d5 or knight to b5 while your queen is here. For the moment, the knight is on f6, so it's okay, but you have to be careful. So queen to b7, and now pawn to f4. We have knight b to d7. Finally, the knight can be safely developed, and now bishop to h4. Rook 8 to c8 by Prag, and Petr goes for pawn to a3. We have pawn to a5, stopping b4, and now pawn to g4, going all out here on the king side. Pawn to c5, and now bishop captures on f6. We have knight captures, and now pawn to g5, just grabbing more space here. Knight to e4, and now what do you play here? Well, from experience, you probably know that when that knight lands on e4, you can capture, but it's usually black that will profit from this. Even if you double black's pawns and black has a doubled e-pawn, it's still going to be okay for black. So it's not maybe something to look forward to. So instead, Petr tries d captures on c5, and now knight captures on c3, and now not what you'd expect. Not rook captures followed by b captures on c5, because even this is fine for black. Black has very nice control over the center here and on the queen side, and okay, white does have this expansion on the king side, but his king is also quite loose, so black is the one to be preferred here. So instead, he plays pawn to c6, and this is where things get very interesting. Prag says, all right, I don't mind. Rook captures on c6, he gives up the exchange. Knight captures, and now what was Prag's idea here for this position? It's not easy to spot it, but when you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. So feel free to pause the video and try to find the only way for Prag to look for advantage while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding not the winning move, but the strongest way to continue the game, which is often even harder. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is rook captures on c3. Yeah, not queen captures on c6. If you just trade queen captures, then rook captures on c3, attacks the queen, and okay, if bishop to c5, yes, you put pressure on e3, but the queen will just move, and not much has been gained here. However, after this rook captures on e3 move, now it's very hard to decide on how to go about this. If you just want to pretend like nothing happened, okay, you play queen to d2, you just move the queen from harm's way, bishop to c5 now, threatening all sorts of nasty discoveries once the rook moves, so you have to play king to h1, queen will capture on c6, pawn captures on c3, and black will always be much better here. Yes, white is up the exchange, but this bishop is an absolute monster. The queen is a monster. The rook is beautifully placed here. There's no way to attack for white. I mean, it's just better for black. So instead, Petr went for queen captures on e3. He said, all right, I'm giving up the queen, but I will have the two rooks. So, okay, bishop to c5. This is what you had to find when you found that rook captures on e3 move. Rook captures on c3 with bishop captures on e3 with check, rook captures and queen captures on c6. And now, if you look at the position, okay, Pragg is up a queen, Petr is up two rooks, and Pragg is up a pawn. So one thing that definitely goes in Pragg's favor is that the white king is so loose. So can he do something about this? With perfect play, it's probably a draw, but as always, with perfect play, everything is a draw. Rook to d1, we have queen to c5, now not allowing the rook to move, king to f2, defending the rook, and pawn to h6, now trying to mess up the pawn structure in front of the white king even further. Rook to d2, and now queen to c4, putting pressure on the f4 pawn. You have to look for these little opportunities to gain at least some advantage. Rook to f3, and now pawn to h5, not going for the trade, but now pawn to g6, and this is probably trying to get too much out of the position. You should just, you know, be patient, play something like king to g2, play b3, and wait for Pragg to come at you. But he decided to go forward. He played pawn to g6, and okay, f captures on g6, and now king to g2 only now. We have queen to e4, again pinning the rook, and now king back to f2. We have king to f7, bringing the king into the game, rook f to d3 now, trying to win the pawn here. So here we have queen to h1. Of course, none of you were considering queen captures on f4, because then rook f3 just picks up the queen. So after rook f to d3, queen back to h1, and now we have rook captures on d5, giving up the h2 pawn, but it's not much better. Okay, you could maybe play king to g3, but Petr decided against it. He played rook captures on d5, queen captures on h2, and now king to f3. We have queen h3 check, king f2, and queen to h4 with check, king to g2, and now queen to g4 with check. We have king to f1, and now queen to f3 with check. King to g1, sorry about that. King to g1, and now king to g8. We have rook 5 to d4, adding a defender to the pawn here, and now queen to g3 check. So Pragg has a good position, but is it enough to actually grab the full point? Well, king to f1, we have pawn to h4. If anything, he does have the passed h pawn. Rook 2 to d3 attacks the queen, queen g4, and now rook to d8 with check. We have king to h7, and now Pragg is completely winning unless Petr finds the only counterplay left in the position, and he does. He plays rook to f8. Not just defending the pawn here, but also threatening rook to d8, followed by rook to h8 checkmate. And it's not easy figuring out how to continue this. I might even try to get you to pause the video here once more, but this time try to actually find the winning move while I give you a couple of seconds. So, for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not going for the obvious pawn to h3. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is, of course, pawn to g5. You have to free up this square for the king. And to give you a reason why to do this, if you play pawn to h3, then rook to d8 threatens checkmate. And yes, you can play pawn to g5 now, but now f5 just takes away the g6 square from the black king. And now how are you defending rook to h8 checkmate? There's no way to do it. You're forced to just continually check the white king until well, you get either a threefold repetition or a 50 move rule, but basically you will probably agree to a draw much sooner than that. Let's say king a2, queen to c4 with check, and then we just repeat the whole thing. So that's why it would not be best to advance the pawn right away. So pawn to g5, again, congratulations, this is what you found and also what Pragg played. And now f5 is not as potent. If f5 now, then just queen to c4, and how are you getting out of this? Now, there's a problem because the rook is pinned, you cannot play rook to d8, and also once you defend the rook h3, not only that you cannot play rook to d8, you also can't capture on h3. So now black is completely winning. So after g5, f captures on g5 was played, but now queen captures on g5. We have rook to f2, and now queen to b5, trying to pick up the rook here, rook to d2 defending, and now pawn to g5. And now it's a bit different with the f-pawn gone. Now the two connected pass pawns will be incredibly difficult to try and stop. King g2, we have king to g6, rook to d6 with check, king to h5, and rook 6 to d5. Attacks the queen here, queen to c6, again, not allowing the rook to move, so king h2, and now queen to c4. We have rook 5 to d4, and now queen to f1. We have rook to d8, trying to get some action behind the black king, but now queen to f4 check, king to h1, and pawn to h3. Now the king will be, if rook to j8, then the king will be safe. You don't really have to worry. Even king to g4 will be an option. So here king to g1 was played, but now queen to e5, not even allowing a single check here. We have rook 8 to d7, trying to get a check on h7, but Pragg doesn't even allow this. Queen to e4 now guards h7, and also if this rook moves, you will get checkmated on g2. So king to h2, we have g4 here, rook 7 to d5 with check, and now king to h4. We have rook 5 to d3, now trying to keep an eye on the g3 square, but it doesn't work. Queen to e5 check, king to g1, and queen to e5 check, and he was in this position on 62 that Prohaszka resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So very nicely done by Pragg, out of 6 games, taking his 5th win with some very impressive play. And okay, he was challenged, his Nimzo was challenged with that bishop to d2 move on the 4th move, which isn't that often played, but as usual, he just shows that he knows what's what and that it's not a problem for him. So here you resign, it's actually a forced checkmate in 4. Let's say king to h2, you move, now comes g3 with check, only move is to capture, then you capture this rook with check, and once you move the king, now comes king captures on g3 with any checks being mates on the next move. Okay, white will have, well, at least something. He can play b4 before the rest of the game, but now queen c1 is checkmate, queen d1 is checkmate, queen e1 is checkmate, this is checkmate, this is checkmate, so anything you play is checkmate here. So yeah, very nicely done by Pragg, and I hope you guys enjoyed this beautiful showing on how to employ the Nimzo-Indian. We've, like I said, we've had many games where, where knight to f3 was played, where bishop to d3 was played, where knight g to e2 was played. Bishop to d2, not so often, but now you've also seen how to treat that if you're a Nimzo-Indian player. So yeah, really hope you guys enjoyed it. Very nicely done by Pragg. I would like to thank David Kimura, Rod Hill, Phil Malthus, Johan Bridger, and Richard Phillips for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.